Today, we're diving deep into the intense political crisis that's gripping Bangladesh. The country has a national election scheduled for February 2026, but right now it is absolutely teetering on a knife's edge. We're going to break down exactly why.
It's a really complex situation with some pretty deep roots. And at the heart of it all is one critical question. Why is Bangladesh's path forward, its path to a stable democracy, so incredibly uncertain right now? To really get a feel for the stakes, just picture what's happening on the ground as of November 2025. You've got entire cities locked down by blockades. The streets are just filled with widespread protests. The upcoming election itself, it's in serious jeopardy. Schools are shut down, and security forces are on high alert everywhere. It really is a nation holding its breath.
So, how in the world did we get to this point? To answer that, we've got to rewind the clock just a little bit back to the massive power shift that completely shook the country in 2024.
The whole thing really kicked off in August 2024. A violent, student-led protest movement just swept across the country. And when the dust settled, the long-serving Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina, had been ousted from power. So, to fill that power vacuum, an interim government was formed. It's headed by the Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. And their mandate, their mission, was crystal clear. Restore peace, push through some crucial democratic reforms, and, this is the big one, organize a free and fair election. This timeline really shows you just how fast everything went downhill. So in August 2024, Hasina is out, the interim government is in. By July of 2025, this controversial July Charter for constitutional reform gets put on the table. And that brings us to now, November 2025, where that charter has caused a total political deadlock and escalating protests, all with that national election looming in February 2026.
Okay, so let's talk about that July Charter, because it is the absolute heart of the current conflict. We need to break down what this proposed constitutional amendment is and why it's paralyzing the entire nation.
So what is it? Well, put simply, the July Charter is a whole package of major constitutional reforms. But the most explosive part, the part that has everyone up in arms, involves making fundamental changes to the election system itself. And as you can imagine, this charter has created a deep, deep divide. It's led to a major political standoff, with all the country's major factions digging in their heels with totally competing demands. And here's the core disagreement. It really comes down to timing. On one side, you have Jamaat-e-Islami and its allies. They are demanding a referendum on the charter right now, before the election happens. But on the other side, you've got the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the BNP. They also want a referendum, but they want to hold it at the same time as the national election. And this single issue has created a complete and total deadlock. So let's quickly recap where all the key players stand. You've got the interim government, which is basically trying to play mediator, but its deadline for everyone to agree already came and went. Then there's the BNP, acting like the election is a sure thing and already announcing their candidates. Meanwhile, Jamaat-e-Islami is dialing up the pressure, calling for an indefinite sit-in. And then you have the Awami League, that's the old ruling party, and they're against these reforms completely.
But wait, there's more. As if all of that wasn't complicated enough, there's another huge wildcard just fueling the flames. Something happening right alongside all this political chaos, the trial of the former prime minister. That's right, Sheikh Hasina, the ousted PM, is now living in exile in India, and she's on trial for crimes against humanity. The prosecution is actually seeking the death penalty. At the exact same time, her political party, the Awami League, has been officially banned. I mean, the stakes for her and for the entire country could not possibly be any higher. And the reaction on the ground, it's been swift and incredibly disruptive. To protest the trial, the now banned Awami League called for a Dhaka blockade on November 13th, which essentially brought the capital city to a grinding halt and just added another layer of chaos to the streets. So you take all these different threads, the fight over the charter, the intense party rivalries, this explosive trial, and you weave them together, and what you get is a situation that seriously threatens the future of democracy in Bangladesh. The stakes for the nation are just incredibly high right now. And we have to remember, these stakes aren't just political, they are deeply, deeply human. Amid all this turmoil, there are some very serious human rights concerns. Between August 2024 and September 2025 alone, there have been reports of at least 40 alleged extrajudicial killings under the interim government's watch. Even the head of the interim government, Mohammed Yunus, seems to know just how fragile this whole situation is. He made a statement recently that was pretty chilling. He said many local and foreign forces may try to sabotage this election. That just underscores the immense pressure they're under and the fear that this whole thing could spiral out of control.
Which really brings us to our final question. You've got political dialogue that has completely failed to find any consensus. You've got violence rising in the streets, coming from multiple different groups. And you've got this looming election that feels more and more precarious with each passing day. So you have to ask, with the country at this dangerous crossroads, is a democratic solution still even possible?